Happy Thursday to you. It is great to be here with you. If you're joining me on the replay, happy replay day to you as well. We're live and I'm excited to welcome you to today's live level up conversation.
Welcome to Level Up with Winnie Sun. Market updates. Award-winning financial pro. Get ready. I present to you Level Up with Winnie Sun.
Well, hello. It is so great to be here with you. As you know, I'm your host, Winnie Sun, Forbes contributor, CNBC council member, and award-winning financial pro, here to keep you on top of relevant, trending business news. But what makes this show so special, what makes it so much fun, and is that you are part of today's discussion. So I'll be monitoring feedback throughout the show. Definitely don't be shy. Let me know where you're joining me from. I want to say a quick hello. I'm already seeing some friends come in already. I see Joshua also coming from YouTube Live. It's great to have you here with us. Wow, a lot of friends here joining us from all different platforms. We're monitoring on LinkedIn, on Facebook, on YouTube, and on several other platforms, Twitter, of course, as well. So it's great to see all of you here with me. Let's start. Let you know some good news. I got to tell you, today's market was certainly positive news. This is actually the first show I've done since July 4th weekend because I was hoping for a little bit better news. And of course, it's been very busy this week already. But here's the good news. The Dow closed up 346 points, NASDAQ up 259 points, and the S&P 500 also 57 points. So it's not every day we got three positive day indices on one day, right? The Dow, the Nas, and the S&P all giving us positive gains. Certainly news that we can use, and certainly news that we like, especially given all the negative news we've had probably in the last 6 months or so with inflation and with talks of recession and all these labor shortages and all that stuff. But nonetheless, we'll take it. It's a good Thursday, and that's because the market's doing very, very well today. Now, the S&P 500 actually gained for its fourth day now. So this is actually its longest winning streak in many years. In fact, the Dow jumped 300 some points earlier today. The areas that did particularly well, I should share with you that, I think maybe we didn't expect, of course, is energy stocks certainly doing very, very well. We're seeing solar stocks actually outperform today as well. Hello, Sadiq. It's great to see you on YouTube Live as well. It's great to, hear from all of you. But here's what we also see that I thought should be on your radar. So we're seeing some financial news, of course, taking a turn. We're seeing more talk of recession, and people are asking whether or not we're near the bottom of the financial markets because the market did a little bit better today. Should we assume that we've hit the bottom, or are we close to the bottom? Certainly a lot of analysts are saying that that's the case. So I want to ask you this. Let's just say that we were close to the bottom, or we were at the bottom. What are some financial moves that you'd be looking to make? Have you thought about that? Because I think we all need to think about that for a moment. If we are close to the bottom, if we think we're close to the bottom, I should say, what are some financial moves that you would make? As I always say, it's really important when it comes to your money to have a plan, to stay the course and be really mindful of the environment, some of the news coming out, but also to stay relaxed and calm about it. And so that way we can put together a plan that makes sense for ourselves. And of course, lastly, if you feel like you're ready to have a second opinion, or you're ready to work with a professional, maybe just see if there's other better opportunities out there. This could be also a great time to seek out professional advice if you need help, And certainly I should add this. If you haven't done this already and you're looking maybe to not only plan for your own future, but you want to sort of be ahead for next year, this is also a really great time to reach out to an accountant or an estate planning attorney, right? An insurance agent, whoever it is. Typically, the summertime, you're not as busy work-wise, so you usually be able to get some quality time with them. So some things to think of mind. Now, what's gone down? And this was really interesting because, the July 4th weekend was just there. Let me ask you this. Did you go on a road trip? Did you drive around this weekend? If you did, go ahead and comments. Let me know. Let me know if you drove somewhere. Where did you go? Because certainly one thing that we saw trending in social media was the fact that gas prices seem to have gone lower in many places of the country. In fact, crude oil prices are down. And so that has definitely made an impact at the pump. In fact, we're seeing that US benchmark crude oil is trading now below $100, which is really the first time since May of 2022. And so analysts are saying there's a reason to this. Now, I'm curious to see why you think crude oil would be going down, right? Obviously, the war in Ukraine hasn't ceased to exist. It's not like all of a sudden we have like a lot more resources of oil, like the oil ferry came down. Well, interesting enough, analysts are saying that the reason why oil demand prices have gone down and demand for gas has gone down. They said it's because you and I, Americans, are fearful of a recession. And when that occurs, when you're worried about recession, then you tend not to consume as much gas. Agree or disagree? Really curious to see how you thought about that. I see comments coming in from Joshua is talking about having a relaxing weekend over the July 4th weekend. It's great to see you, Brigetti, as well. Wonderful to see you. And Sadiq, it's wonderful to see you as well. So the average price per gallon of regular gas here in the United States, this is this week, in fact, was down about $4.78 a gallon. In fact, yesterday on Twitter, people were even saying that they couldn't believe when they drove by their gas station that the first number in the price of like maybe regular gas or even, surplus, right, plus gas, whatever, it started with a three in the beginning. So $3.78 or $3.98. But it's interesting because people in states such as mine here in California were saying we still don't see a three. We still see fours or fives or whatnot. But this is really interesting because just last month, gas was averaging about $5.02 a gallon. This is according to AAA. But obviously it's dropped quite a bit. And will the gas prices continue to go down or will they go up? So I want to talk a little bit about that too. So what are some factors that could cause gas prices to skyrocket once again? So obviously there's concerns about recessions, right? People are worried about concessions and but of course, any positive economic data could actually help the concerns of recession, but also major scares, weather scares, such as a hurricane, that could certainly cause refineries to have problems and shut down. That could cause prices to go up. And of course, there could be additional geopolitical issues coming out of Ukraine and Russia. And actually, we just saw a little bit of that today, if you read the news today. So basically what it's telling us is this, is the price of gas, we don't know really where it's going to go. The expectation it'll start to get a little bit cheaper, maybe a couple cents per day, but who really knows? Because there's a lot of like inconsistencies and things you really can't prepare for. But overall, I would just say, like, I'm just curious: are you driving less or are you driving more? If are you concerned about the recession? And if you are, is it actually causing you to drive less? I don't know. For me, I think for me, I'm probably driving a lot less than I did maybe a year from the prior year, but that's because just a lot of stuff going on with work. So not traveling as much as I would like to, but that's just okay because I get to spend time with you. Now let's talk about another thing that's dropping. I wanted to put this on your radar too because we talk about the positive, and so we got to harness anything that we can right now. And here's what's really interesting. On mortgages, if you're looking to buy a new home or you're looking to refinance, this is actually for you because the average 30-year loan mortgage actually fell to 5.3%. Now, if you hear me say 5.3%, you might be like, Winnie, that doesn't sound very low because I remember it was just like not that long ago when you were talking about mortgage rates in the 2 and 3% range. And you're right, that actually wasn't that long ago. But now rates actually have gone up quite a bit. And so actually last week, mortgage rates were at 5.7%. That was sort of the average. And they just fell actually this week on the 30-year fix to 5.3, which, believe it or not, was one of the largest drops in mortgage rates that we've seen in a very long time. So, some good news. Yeah, it's not in the 2-3% range, but you're looking to buy a house. This is probably somewhat good news. And I'm guessing if you're looking to buy a house, you're probably working with a mortgage banker or mortgage broker, and hopefully that person let you know. And if they didn't let you know and you're in the market, it definitely should reach out and talk to them about it and see if you can capture that lower rate. Now, on other news, I want to segue because I thought that this might be interesting of news too. Now, many of you know that Amazon Prime Day is coming next week. We're going to have a lot of information coming out from there. In fact, Greg and I from In the Loop are going to come in tomorrow, and I think he's going to talk a little bit about that as well. But here's the thing. Amazon is, believe it or not, taking a financial stake in Grubhub. Now, let me ask you, many of you probably, go out to eat, maybe you get takeout or whatnot. But many of us I know have actually enjoyed like food delivery services, right? Whether it be Uber Eats, whether Grubhub, DoorDash. I know there's some of the popular ones now. But I thought this was interesting because Amazon Prime members are soon going to get a benefit to their Amazon Prime membership in the likes of a Grubhub subscription. Now, what's really interesting about this is when I think of Amazon, I don't always think about like what I'm going to have for dinner or for lunch, right? But I guess Amazon really sees like us wanting more convenience in our lives. So first they have obviously their Prime delivery that most of us get deliveries in 1 or 2 or 3 days. And then of course they bought like or they have Amazon Fresh and they have Whole Foods, which is groceries, right? So you can get convenience delivery or you can do pickup, also lots of options. Now they're also going in the realm of restaurants. So they're taking, I guess, a few percentage, I guess 2% stake in Grubhub, and they're giving their Prime members this benefits of free delivery. So they really believe that this could be a very big business for them. So this is big. Grubhub, if you remember, this was actually reported by the Wall Street Journal that the sale of Grubhub was actually acquired for $7.3 billion. And originally, I think a lot of people weren't really believing that food delivery would do this well, but it certainly has. And so I guess Amazon is getting in the game. So I'm curious to hear what you think about this news. Do you think this is a smart decision for Amazon? Do you think they should take that 2% stake in Grubhub? I actually think it could be very clever because I think what we sometimes discount is the power of Amazon. Not only are they selling us goods that we need on our day to day, in a convenient fashion and a pretty, sometimes a pretty competitive pricing, but think about the data that are collecting on all of us, right? The things that we normally purchase, the times that we need these items, what our households use and our preferences. And now they're also going to find out what restaurants and whatnot that we're looking to use, and what we purchase at the supermarket. It's really interesting. This sort of data, I think, is massive. So I'm curious to see what you think about that too. I know. And Sadiq is saying, well, what about the monopoly rules in the states? Certainly, I'm surprised politicians haven't knocked on Amazon's door more aggressively in what you're talking about right now. Bridget is saying mortgage rate here is 8.25%. Wow, Bridgetti, I apologize. I didn't know that was that high. Well, tell us, Bridgetti, where are you currently? Where are mortgage rates that high? We'd love to hear. Well, it is what it is. We'll see what this does, but I'm really curious to see what this move from Amazon will mean. And I'm really curious about what they're going to do with this data. Because I definitely thought Google has a lot of our data, right? We know Google, YouTube, and then we certainly know that Apple has a tremendous amount of our data. I'm sure for those of you who are Android users, Google probably has a lot of your data as well, right? But think about this now. Amazon's sort of making that very strategic move from the early days of selling books. Now they're selling everything under the sky. They're becoming everyone's sort of primary shopping destination to compare prices, to look at reviews and whatnot. And now it includes food too. So super, super interesting. I guess, good for them. Good for them. We'll see how that goes. Now, another bit of news, and this was actually trending news on LinkedIn News that I thought was really fascinating too. So in the Netherlands, If any of you are joining me from the Netherlands, by the way, definitely jump in and don't be shy. Let us know. So in the Netherlands, guess what? Actually, the country, the parliament, is trying to adopt legislation this week to establish the legal right to work from home. They're saying that their citizens will have the legal right to work. Now, why is that important? You might say, well, we have that right here in the United States, or we have the right to work from home if we want to, if our job allows us. If not, we can change jobs and do something else, right? Well, it's actually better than that. So in the Netherlands, here's the thing. This is actually, they're going to be actually one of the first countries to do this. But what they're saying is, for those of you who own businesses, employers, right? This is a law. So if you have to have a reason strong enough to justify that your employees are unable to work from home. So it can't just be like Jamie Dimon with, JP Morgan, or Elon Musk with Tesla and SpaceX saying that, no, I want you back in the office. If you don't come back to the office, you might get canned. No, they're also saying like, okay, countries, you're companies, you're actually, this is legally a right of employees and citizens here in the Netherlands. Like, you better have a really good reason to say that you don't have the option to work from home. Super, super interesting. Really curious to see what you think. Brigitte is saying, nice move in the Netherlands. Okay. And we are seeing that she is joining us from South Africa. Well, high mortgage rates in South Africa for sure. So, yeah, it's really interesting, and I want to hear what you have to say. How do you feel about that? I do feel like here, we have the flexibility. Not all of us, of course. If you're in a job what really does demand you to be on site, for example, if you're a medical professional, right? If you work at hospitality or a restaurant, there's definitely going to be some limitations. But the Netherlands is saying, look, you got to have a really good reason for you to say that you can. So this actually could cause problems if it were here in the United States for a company such as JP Morgan, right? The financial industries, they have to be able to justify that. Or SpaceX, maybe, they have a very good justification. Tesla, I can understand. I mean, how are you going to make a car at home? Probably not the easiest thing. But it's really interesting to see how these other countries are dealing with the topic of work from home, and so that work flexibility, because as we know, things are changing quite a bit. Now, on that same note, I thought I'd also share this article or the story that's trending also on social media, a lot of push today on LinkedIn this week, talking about hybrid babysitters. Okay. So babysitters, what do you think about when I say babysitters? You probably think like, well, I had a babysitter when I was a kid, when my parents were busy, I had a babysitter, and maybe I have kids and now and then I need to hire a babysitter. Well, here's what's interesting. This is a trend that's actually coming from the whole hybrid work from home pandemic era, in that this big trend right now is something called the hybrid babysitters. So no longer are you just needing a 9 to 5 babysitter, but because a lot of working parents now have that hybrid ability of working from the office maybe 1 or 2 or 3 days a week and working from home 1 or 2 or 3 days a week, because of that, they need that flexibility. So now they're saying, if you're a babysitter or a childcare provider and you're able to do this very hybrid, flexible model in your business, this, my friends, what they're saying is big, big money. In fact, the CEO of Care.com, Tim Allen, shared with Axios, his news reporting business, that this shift is a big thing. And in fact, this type of going from like sort of more on-demand babysitting to my hybrid and increasing of rates. I guess rates for babysitters increased about 20%. And like childcare centers went up about 5%. So the overall cost of care for your children or your little ones is going up too. So it'll be interesting to see, because I think this is just the first thing. Hybrid babysitting. What else do you think would need to be hybrid? I think like it would be very different, right? You would have to juggle a lot of schedule. And I think those companies who are able to juggle different schedules and realize that one size doesn't fit all, I think it's going to continue to get much more market share. So really interesting. All right, I want to share some comments because I see a lot of good stuff coming in right now. So Virginia is saying perhaps they will have exceptions for certain industries such as manufacturing, medical staff, for example. Yeah, talking about the Netherlands, I'm assuming, yes, absolutely agree. I think there's definitely some industries where it's just not possible to do at home, right? To work from home. So yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then Sadiq is saying homemade Teslas would be great. A great idea, X the price. You know, Sadiq, you're always so much fun to share. So I'm always interested, Sadiq, to see what you have to say because really, really fun. Yeah, I don't know that we can ever, build that Tesla from home, but who knows? Never say never. There's a lot of things we never thought would happen, right? I mean, we never thought we'd get a man on the moon, but it's possible. Maybe one day we'll all have these like gigantuous industrial size printers at home where we need something, we put the recipe in, we hit print. It could happen. Or maybe there's one in the neighborhood. I don't know. I mean, it certainly could happen. My husband has a 3D printer, and I'm absolutely astounded by how much he's been able to print from this thing. Things like you don't think you need, you can just print. And it's like really inexpensive. So really interesting. And Brigetti is saying really interesting move for hybrid childcare. I do think it's like just one of many things. I think a lot of things are, I think Amazon is showing us that we need things on demand and convenient, right? And we're willing to pay perhaps a slight premium for these benefits because obviously Prime memberships is of cost. But it's also saying, look at that next generation, our generation and next generation is going to want things to be a lot easier, a lot more convenient. So thank you so much for sharing those comments. Really great stuff. Really great stuff. Now, thank you so much, my friends, also for watching the show. Of course, being here, supporting the program, and your comments. Always such a treat. Sadiq, everybody who's joining us, it's great to see your thoughts on these very important topics because it's one thing to hear about business and financial news. It's another to think about them, talk about them, and figure out how it'll relate to us personally and our own personal plans so that we can look ahead and make those really important plans for ourselves. So as a reminder, you're going to actually be able to find full episodes of Level Up on NASDAQ, the KBCW, Amazon Fire, Roku, and many other platforms. And of course, I have a podcast called The Yes Factor that's pretty much everywhere that you tune into podcasts. We had a really, really special episode that was released yesterday with Dr. G. Now, if you've ever thought about what are the best ways to train yourself, get yourself so that you can handle more stress, so that, I know it sounds crazy, handle more stress. We don't want more stress, but be able to handle it when you get into stressful situations, ways you can mitigate it so it doesn't affect you so much mentally, physically, all that stuff. She's definitely an episode that you want to hear. She's such an amazing, amazing person. So definitely check it out. Yes Factor with Winnie Sun. You can just Google it. A lot of people listen to it on Apple Podcasts. So I'd love to see how you think about it. So do me a favor, tune in. And of course, with that, I'm going to be back tomorrow. So be well. Enjoy the rest of your day. And I can't wait to see you tomorrow with Greg. Bye-bye now.